the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Welcome back to the top show here on latenightsportsradio.com. I 633-7487. I am joined this second hour by Jamieson Welch of the Believe the Hype NBA.com. Jamieson, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well, Bob. Doing well, man. Thanks for having me, man. Greatly appreciate it. It's good to be on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanksgiving week coming up. What is a special side? You know, every family kind of has that one dish that, you know, brings Thanksgiving home. What's your special side dish that not anybody else has, or that's special to your Thanksgiving?
Well, my family's kind of weird because I don't have like a traditional family. Like I have my mom's side, I have my dad's side, so they do things kind of differently. Like my dad does things pretty much traditionally. Like him and my stepmom, they do things kind of traditional, and it's really good. It's really good food. It's all the stuff that you could want for Thanksgiving. My mom, she's an amazing cook. You know, when it comes to turkey. You know, this year she's making gumbo as well, because she's from Louisiana, so she's making gumbo. We call it dressing. A lot of people call it clean, but where I come from, they call it dressing, macaroni and cheese. So just the combination of turkey, dressing, and ham, like just that combo, like, you know, like, I'll put it this way, Thanksgiving is the one holiday where I make sure I'm home for. You know, that's one holiday I make sure I go home for. So my mom makes a great turkey and dressing combo. My sister makes macaroni and cheese. We're all making gumbo this year, so I really can't wait. My mom's greens are really good. But yeah, also I just can't wait. It's going to be fun. But my mom makes a great peach cobbler sweet potato pie.
It's Thanksgiving, you know, it's the one dish that I don't think, you know, unless, you know, some people just do the stovetop, which that's good. But stuffing, everybody has a different recipe. I don't think I've been to a Thanksgiving, you know, going to family, friends' Thanksgivings, and just talking to other people. Stuffing's the one thing, like with mashed potatoes, you don't want to mess with it too much. The turkey, you don't want to mess with it too much. But the stuffing, dressing, whatever you want to call it, is the one thing you can tinker with that can just, you know, turn that meal from, you know, a level 4 meal into, you know, a level 10 meal, which is surprising because, you know, pretty much just bread, you know, chunks of bread.
Well, you know what? Some people do it with cornbread. Like, you know, a lot of people do it with cornbread. You know, but I like that. I prefer the cornbread dressing more than, you know, the breadcrumbs and that stuff. That's me. Everyone's different, but I prefer the cornbread dressing because you can make your cornbread a little sweeter than usual, and you can do a lot of different things.
I had one with using croissants as the base, and that was, and I've also had biscuits as the base, and those two were, you know, again different, but it's just, you know, you can, you know, I've had, you know, apple and cranberry stuffing. Doesn't sound great, but it's a little sweet. You know, fruit and stuffing doesn't sound like the best thing, but you know, it works, and it is the one dish where you can tinker with, and nobody will be disappointed or criticized.
Well, see, Bob, you can only do that with certain households, and you can't do that with black people's households. You tinker with too many things, you're going to get cussed out on Thanksgiving, and you really don't want to do that.
You've called yourself the Black Bobby Flay before. What makes you the Black Bobby Flay?
Well, you know, Bob, I come from a great family of people who cook. You know, people who cook and people who are, you know, really great in the kitchen. And back in college, I had a roommate, and we had two friends that came over all the time. I played video games and studied and did all that stuff. And basically, one day I made spaghetti and meatballs, and I made meatballs so big, and my roommate was like, "You have to Black Bobby Flay." And what are you talking about? He's like, "These are so good It was like, these are amazing. Like, you're like, Bobby Flay. And ever since then, I never stuck with me. But now they're really good. And now you always cook. You know, when you're by yourself, you're like, oh, you cook. You know, you find ways how to do things. I've always been able to cook, but, you know, you experiment more, you do different things. You just cook. And it was pretty cool.
Well, on to the NBA. Going to talk about it because it's, it's a semi-big story in the NBA. Still the Sixers, winless. 0-13. Do you see a win coming for them anytime soon? Is there a win on the schedule in any upcoming game? Could they go 0-4 in December?
Well, I haven't looked at their schedule because honestly, I don't care about the Sixers. If they don't care about winning, why should we? They're the one team that they're playing. Well, they're pulling this stunt, so why should we care about them? But you know what? When it comes to the Sixers, I just think that they're going to beat somebody. They're going to get somebody on a 4-game, a 5-night type of deal, and they're going to beat someone. Like they're going to get someone. It's going to be a weird situation, but they're going to beat someone. That's just kind of how it goes. That's how the NBA works. They're a bad basketball team. They're a really bad basketball team. The Knicks blew them out the other night. The Celtics blew them out the other night. The Suns put like 40 on them. Got by 40 the other night. So there's a lot of teams that really shouldn't be beating you by double digits, beating them by double digits. So it's a pretty bad situation over there. It's tough, especially when you're a young ball player, because a lot of young guys on that team are, creating bad habits or, they're gaining bad habits, and that's not good. And when you're pretty much telling your players that, hey, you're coming here to lose, that's just not good, man. That's not a good situation. I'm not a big fan of that. So I'm not a big fan of what they're doing. And you know what? If they go 0 for November, and if let's say they only get like one win between like now and the middle of December, they may get that all-time losses record. They really might get it because they don't have a whole lot of good NBA talent on that roster. And teams don't want to lose you. Like I think teams don't want to take that first L to you. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out.
On to kind of another problem situation. Not quite that bad, but the Cleveland Cavaliers, 5-7 so far, lost 4 in a row. With this team, is there any concerns you had going into the season that, are actually coming to fruition right now? And are there any concerns that have developed for you since watching this team?
Well, big thing is this, defense. That's the one thing. Defense and health were my two biggest questions. I knew offensively they're going to be good. They're going to find a way to be good offensively because there's just too much talent there, and David Blatt's an offensive coach. But defensively, man, they've been atrocious defensively. That's just a team-wide thing, from LeBron all the way on down to Joe Harris. They've just been an awful defensive team. And that's something that you really can't, that's something that you got to want to do. You got to want to change. In Miami, they had a defensive identity. They had a defensive head coach. Glenn Ray was still a solid defensive player at that time. Chris Brock bought into the team defensive principles. So they were ahead of the game there. This Cleveland situation, they don't have defensive players. And also, the key is this, man. LeBron, I understand why he went back and the decision he made. I don't fault the for one bit. Well, you got to understand, when you've got two young guys that are still trying to get theirs, especially a guy like Kyrie, who's one more season of starting an All-Star game, so he can get his contract up to, I think it's 5 years, $120 million range. You understand, guys are still trying to get theirs. He's not playing with veteran guys that have been through the wars and whatnot. He's trying to mold these guys into something they're not. And that's what's very difficult to do, especially young guys that really, they have time. Like, for instance, if this experiment doesn't work out, they have, 8-10 more years to go elsewhere or find a different situation and make it work. LeBron has a couple more years of supreme play before things start to slow down because of his body and age and whatnot. So it's a very unique situation, but the defense is terrible team-wide. It's very bad from top to bottom.
Do you see like with LeBron, do you see him being disinterested at all? Does he look disinterested at times to you? Well,
I just think it's more frustration than anything. I just think, maybe it's just more frustration because, he's used to playing at a high level. He's used to the team playing at a high level and everybody pretty much covering for the next person. In Miami, one thing they had is they had trust with their teammates. Everyone had trust. As long as guys were healthy, they had trust. Everybody knew their rotation. Everyone had each other's back. And this is a team that doesn't really have guys that have ever been on a good situation outside of Verjao, who was obviously with LeBron doing the first tour of the Cavs. They really don't have guys that they can really trust and guys that they can really count on, especially defensively. It's more of a frustrating thing than being disinterested. It's more of a frustration thing. But a lot of it's on him because when you're a great player like LeBron, you got to tailor your game to the strength of the other players on the team as well. It can't just be, they got to fit in with me. No, part of being a great player, being versatile, and being this great person, a great player that everyone says you are, which he is. He's a great, great player, one of the best you've ever seen, is that you have to tailor your game. You got to fix your game to fit in with these guys' strengths for the time being to get things rolling, because if you don't get things rolling, it gets very bad real quick, and you can't really afford it for that when you got guys on one-year deals.
Yeah. If you're the Cavs, do you make a move right now, or do you wait till the deadline, see how things turn out? Do you just wait till Ray Allen makes himself available? What do you do?
Well, Ray Allen's not going to help. Bob, let's get that straight right now. Ray Allen's not going to help this team. This team doesn't need another offensive player. This team needs a defender, and actually a youthful defender. Sean Marion and Mike Miller aren't those guys. They need a guy on the wing that's in his 20s that can play defense. They're getting too many old guys. They have too many old guys in that locker room and too many guys that don't play defense first. They need a wing guy that can play. If they don't get a wing guy that can play defense, they will not get past the second round in the playoffs. They may not get past the first round depending on the matchups. But if they do not get a defender that can play defense, they are not going to make the playoffs. Or they're not going to make it far in the playoffs because they can't stop anybody. If you're watching their games, and last night they got to a big lead at home versus Toronto on a back-to-back. Both teams were on a back-to-back. And they're at home. Got like a 15 or 16 or point lead, something like that. Toronto wins the game by 16 or 17. And that shouldn't happen. I mean, when you're at home, when you can't hold a lead like that means your defense is lacking and that, teams are doing whatever they want to do. I mean, Lou Williams should not be able to score 30 on home. Like, that shouldn't happen. But hey, they need to figure it out. I don't think it's going to happen this year, though. I don't think the defense is going to figure it out because they don't have the coaching staff and the personnel to figure that out. So I don't know if they're going to – I don't know what's going to happen this year for them, but we'll see.
What do you think is more likely? Kevin Love is in with the Lakers next year, or David Blatt is not coaching the Cavaliers next year?
David Blatt. With Kevin Love, he was offense he can go, or he'd be that'd be accepted to go to. David Blatt could be gone by Christmas. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but he could be gone by Christmas. That's just the story of that. He's a guy that, as great as he was in the EuroLeague and overseas and whatnot, this is the NBA. He's in a very unique situation where one player runs the full franchise, and he's really, to be honest with you, he's an argument away from being fired. That's just kind of how it is. He's an argument or a big disagreement away from being on. He's a guy that, honestly speaking, I just don't know. I really don't know how secure his job is, because if at any given moment LeBron just say, hey, guy gets out of here, bring in such and such, and he's gone. And that's kind of how it goes.
How great would it be? David Blatt gets fired, and Phil Jackson takes over.
That would never happen. I know
it won't happen, but how great would that be?
Internet. That would break the internet. Like, that would break everything, but that's not going to happen. The reason why Phil's not coaching is not because no one wants him, because it's sure a lot of teams will want him health-wise. Traveling and all that stuff. Health-wise is too tough. It's too tough